Hey everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Tami. Tami is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. If you are a first-time entrepreneur or business founder, there is no better place for you than our podcast. Bright Founders Talk and our guest speakers always have something insightful to tell you. Our today's guest speaker is Diego Sampaio, who is founder and CEO at Globalfy. Hello, Diego. How are you?
Alexander, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you that you've made time to join us today. To build our conversation logically, I want to start with the early days, but not the early days of your company Globalfy. I mean your early days as an entrepreneur. I saw your LinkedIn profile and noted that you've been an entrepreneur since the age of 16. I was shocked. Honestly, not every human has such a long-distance story in entrepreneurship. So tell our audience how it was to open the company being a 16-year-old boy. How did you actually come up with the idea of creating the business, and who supported you on this journey?
Nice. Yes. I mean, I'm 36 right now, 36 years old. I've been working with this internet and everything for 20 years. I came from probably the first generation that that started growing up with computers on their house, right? Accessible computers. So when I was like about 11, 12 years old, I got my first computer, starting figuring out things that I could do with the computer. And then I found a front page. There was a Microsoft program to help develop websites. And then I started creating websites. From that, when I was about 14, 15 years old, I launched the first website that was a tool to help other developers to add like visitors, simple tools like guest posts and forums to their websites. And then a few years later, when I was 16, I launched my first actual and real company. There was a hosting company. So we were providing web hosting services for other developers. From that, I created a software house and marketing online market agents. And then from there on, I started doing some other startups and developing new projects. But I mean, I first started from my room with my computer, with help of my parents. And then from there on, I was able to start growing and developing new companies.
Nice. It's great that you have such conditions and that your parents, they supported you on this journey. Looking at your early days in entrepreneurship, do you believe that being an entrepreneur is something you can be taught by someone or somewhere like university, colleges, or it is something you need to be born with? For example, like entrepreneurial instinct.
I believe that some people are born with the instinct of being an entrepreneur. And sometimes that comes even from where they were born, what period of the history they were born, what access they had to tools or to being able to think about growing, right? Because it's easy to believe that everybody can do anything they want, but not everybody has access to the tools that they need to do what they want, right? Someone that is born in the US or someone that is born, let's say, in maybe a poor country, they may be born with the instinct of being entrepreneurs, but they may not have the same chance to be that. So I think that's something that it's important to consider. But I do believe that there's a lot of people that they have the characteristics or the abilities to be an entrepreneur, but they grow without ever considering doing that. And after a few years, they realize that they could now become entrepreneur and start and develop themselves as entrepreneur. So you don't have to be born with that, and you don't have to start your career being an entrepreneur. You can become an entrepreneur later in life. And another thing that is important is that there's the intra-entrepreneurs. There are people that have the characteristics of building something from scratch, but they don't want to do that in their company. They do that with the help or from others, which are pretty important too, right? No company is done only from one professional. So having the ability of figuring out how you can have those instincts of being an entrepreneur or an intra-entrepreneur is really important and can help you regardless if you are doing your business or if you are working on someone else or with someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can say it's a complex of measurement to be an entrepreneur actual. It's a complex of different measurement. So you founded several companies. Was it always the same experience? I mean, in the context of the flow. So you need to find the idea, find the right team, product market fit, or is it always the unique story?
No, it's each company is different. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my past two companies. So back in 2010, when right now I live in the US, I live in Orlando, Florida. But when I was living in Brazil, I came to the US and I saw how big the gift card industry was in the US. And then I saw that industry. I came back to Brazil, and from the potential of the industry, I tried to figure out problems that I could solve. And then I focus, in try to solve one of those problems. So in my previous company in 2010, I first saw the opportunity or the market, and then I saw how I could implement that for the needs or the problems that the entrepreneurs in Brazil were having at that time and how I could help them solve. So it comes first from the market and then with the problem that I was going to focus. On Globalfy, just to explain what Globalfy does. So Globalfy is a platform and banking solution for international founders that want to do business in the US or use that American company to do business all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say an entrepreneur from South America, from Western Europe, or South Asia that is looking to do business with other countries. Maybe they see that it's easier to do that as an American company. So we help them to do all of that, even though they don't have to travel to the US or something like this. And I started that company from the problem. So prior to move to the US, I had a company here that I formed while I was living in Brazil. And then when I moved to the US, the company was not in a good standing with the IRS. And it was because I didn't know what to do. So from that, I thought, look, if I had that problem, maybe other entrepreneurs have the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I created a blog where I was sharing content regarding set up an entity in the US, taxes in the US. And from the blog, I started getting traction and people started getting in touch with us asking for help for setting up their entities. So in that case, I came from the problem. I validated that the problem was actually real. And from there on, we created the product.
Mm-hmm.
So although they are two different approaches or it started in different ways, the most important thing is to map the actual problem that you're trying to solve, right? It's not about the tool that you create. It's about how that tool will solve someone else problem.
What was the biggest lesson you learned during all of this experience of launching the companies?
Well, some lessons. One of them is definitely that there's opportunity everywhere, and in the actual days, you don't have to be focused only in local problems or you don't have to be limited by the place that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that's really, really strong and help our business. And I know that's something that you guys take advantage of that too, and which is amazing. The second one is that every company will have problems. The only difference is the size of the problems. So when you are the first days just by yourself, you're going to have some problems. When in our case that we have 80 team members, we still having problems, but now they are different problems or bigger problems. But I mean, it's always a challenge, and you have to always be humble to keep learning and keep developing, and that you have to hire the right people to help you achieve your goals. I feel that, I mean, having a clear vision of the problem, understanding that the competition is everywhere, and so the opportunities. It's really important. And then finding the right people for you to help on that journey is really important too.
Perfect recipe for success. Okay, so let's talk now about your company, about Globalfy. You've already touched this topic, that Globalfy is a platform for entrepreneurs worldwide to quickly expand e-commerce, technology, startups, and industrial companies to the US. That it really so easy nowadays to start an international business with Globalfy? So could you please share how your solution can make nowadays entrepreneurs' lives easier?
We like to put on that our product is actually made of three main things. The first one is a platform. So of course we use technology. We have our tool that allow entrepreneurs from anywhere in the world to set up their entity in the US and to manage that entity. So keep that entity in compliance with the IRS and with the states. So the platform technology is really, really important. But we don't sell just a platform. We sell the knowledge and the guidance, which is something that is really important too. So once you sign up to our service, you're going to have a direct customer service and specialists helping your business on their daily tasks. So if you don't know how to do an international invoice, if you don't know how to collect payments, so our team is here to help too. And the third one is services. So we have our banking platform where we provide banking service. So business bank account, Visa debit card that can be used anywhere in the world. And we help with additional compliance requirements like filing taxes, renewing your company with the states, and so on. So we created an ecosystem and environment that allows entrepreneur not just to manage, but to learn how to manage their companies. And again, for a foreign entrepreneur that is looking to invest in a different market, having someone that not just can help them, but can teach them is really important. So that's why we have a big team of customer service representative and service experts to help those entrepreneurs. We provide customer service in English, but in Spanish too, and in Portuguese, because we have a bunch of customers in Latin America. So with our solution, a software developer or software house, let's say from Ukraine, and we have a lot of customers from Ukraine, can set up their entity in the US from Ukraine, can have access to the banking system, so have their bank accounts, the Visa debit card here in the US. They can collect payments with Stripe or different payment methods. But they have the guidance and the services for our team, from our team, to help them to maintain the company active. It can be done 100% online. The costs are pretty accessible. We have packages starting $599. You have, again, top customer service, and we have a lot of platforms and solutions that will help you to maintain and grow your business too.
Okay, so you are pretty close to the entrepreneurs from different parts of the world. So I believe that most of them have the same problems in launching the company. And what is the biggest challenge actually of launching the company nowadays?
I will tell you that, in my opinion, the biggest challenge is finding customers. That's the biggest challenge, because I'll be true, to set up your entity, to have the compliance, the banking access here in the US is pretty simple. Mm-hmm. I think that the US is probably one of the easiest country and the most open country for international founders to do business inside the country. So setting up the business should not be a problem, to be true. Globalfy, and of course there are other companies that help them to do that and provide the platforms and the structure that they need to do that. Then comes, of course, finding the customers. But that's a challenge that you would have doing business from anywhere, right? The majority of our customers, they are looking to establish a business in the US for two main reasons. The first one is because they are targeting the US market. So as an American company, it's way easier for myself to do business with another American company than with a company from Latin America or from Europe, for example, right? same currency, domestic payments, the same legal system. So that's makes way easier. And that's one of the reasons that someone would set up an entity in the US. The second one is that uh, not all countries provide the same, again, openness as the US provide for international business. So if I'm based in Brazil, for example, and I want to do business with you guys in Ukraine, it may be way easier for us to make the payments to the US, to trust the US brand, than to submit the payments for your banking in Ukraine, and then having the contract, which language should we use in the contract. So having the US kind of provided openness platform for entrepreneurs all over the world. So those are mostly the two main reasons that a foreign entrepreneur would set up an entity in the US.
Luckily, you guys have you, Globalfy. So you've been operating for 8 years on the market. What was your biggest up and significant downfall through these years?
I would tell you the most important decision that we made in the business that helped us to really scale was like 3 years ago, when we started moving from a business service provider to a platform and to a technology-based company. So for the first year, we were like an accounting firm helping those entrepreneurs, and we just used the technology as a way to do that. And 3 years ago, that's when we start really focus looking to the global market, not just Portuguese and Spanish speakers, but to everybody. And that's when we start investing a lot in technology and platforms to provide now a platform to our customers. So I think that was a big up from the business. And I would say that the downs, I wish I had hired more senior people earlier days. So people that have already been where we wanna go. So if we are doing, for example, $1 million in revenue, I wish I had hired someone that already did $10 million in revenue to guide us from the 1 to 10. So as an entrepreneur, we usually say that the entrepreneur journey is lonely because you don't have so much people to share. But when you find people that have already been in the place that you want to go, and you convince them that to join your journey, that makes the process way, way easier.
Great. Do you actually have some secrets, maybe a recipe for our audience on how not to give up when you have such downfalls? How to continue to believe in yourself, in your team, in your idea?
I think that every entrepreneur will tell that the journey is lonely. So if you are able to put yourself in a place where you can talk to other entrepreneurs and to start creating that community, that's really helpful, because you create a place where one can help the other. So trying to find peers that are going to the same challenge, that's definitely something that's really, really important. And the second one is that you should have passion for the journey, not for the destiny. So if you want to succeed, you have to be passionate about the problem that you're solving and not about your solution, because maybe your solution is not the best, and then you can find another solution to that area. And that can happen when you're in a down place where you're not selling your product. Maybe focusing, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Is my product really the best? If it's not, how can I change that to overcome those challenges? So I think that in my case, I think that our secret has always been trying to find peers that we can share and create a help group. And the second one is to have a passion for the problem that we're trying to solve, not for what we are offering right now.
As you mentioned, not only one time, about the team, people who surround you in your company, do you feel that nowadays it's really challenging to find your teammates who can support you, believe in your idea, and also touching the topic of technology side, does it really hard nowadays to find high qualified technical talent?
I actually think that's the opposite. I think that it has never as easy as it is today to find talent people and to create your team. So prior to COVID, we had around 20 team members, and they were all based in the US. Maybe we had one or two abroad, but the majority was based in the US. Nowadays, we have about 80. I think that we have about 15 in the US and 65 spread all over the world. And I mean, the remote work, being able to work, being able to hire someone because they are good and not because they are based on the same place that you are, it's something that changed the game completely. So nowadays, I don't have to being worried of finding a good software developer in Orlando, Florida. I can find a good software developer in Ukraine, in Argentina, and Colombia. And as long as I can ship them their MacBook and they have internet access, they can deliver the service to myself. So now it comes, of course, to the technical part, right? To see how good the developer is. And on the same level, there's a lot of people transitioning from other careers to software development. And it's just a matter of you sticking to your stack, your software stack, and even developing those professionals. So of course, in a team, let's say of 10 developers, you maybe don't need 10 senior developers. You may need 2 senior developers and that can act, for example, as tech lead, and then 8 developers that are from junior to pleno that they are developing, because the tools are there. It has never been as easy to learn something new with a lot of content that there's online and with the guidance that there's online, right? I mean, even Chat GPT, sometimes I play with that sometimes. I say, write down a code in, let's say, Node that does this. I mean, the code comes out. So it's not more about knowing how to code. It's about knowing how to solve the problem. And I think that it has never as easy as it is today to set up a good team and to grow that team. Actually, that's my experience. It may not be the experience from all entrepreneurs, but it has been working really, really well for us. And specifically on the last 12 months, we onboarded like 12 or 13 new developers in our team. They're based in different countries. They are from juniors to seniors. And I mean, the team delivers really, really well with the stacks and the platforms and the management process that we deployed.
Actually, I have only the last question for you. It's some kind of thought-provoking. If we had the opportunity to travel in time, what would you advise that 16-year-old entrepreneur?
I would tell you, don't stop. I mean, again, if you're passionate about where you want to go, enjoy the journey. Less anxiety because you're not there yet, and more joyful because you're getting there someday. So I think that I would focus on that. At the end of the day, it's all about the journey, it's not the destination.
Great. I want to thank you for making the time to join Bright Founders Talk today. Many interesting subjects have been explored today with you, Diego, and hearing your views, your thoughts was a delight. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and always open to chat. Thanks so much.